Hey y'all, welcome to Music Sundays. Roger here says hey. Scarlett would have said hey too, but she was right here and she went somewhere. I don't know, maybe she'll come back in a minute. Oh, I hear her coming up the stairs right now. Hey Scarlett, come here. There we are. Say hi, Scarlett. What's wrong? Look, say hi. Look at the camera. Look at the camera. Look at the camera and say hi. Yeah, see, Scarlett says hi. So we've already gone on a walk today. We already chased a lot of squirrels today. So I've had a lot of you guys request that I look at this song, Rule Britannia. I have to admit I had no idea what in the world this song was, so I had to look it up on the wikis. And so it looks like Rule Britannia is a British patriotic song originating from the 1740 poem Rule Britannia by James Thomson. And I did kind of like try to read all of this down here, but you know what? I decided to just look up a history video about it, and we're gonna watch that, and then we're gonna listen to the song. And I've had a lot of you guys just ask me to watch Last Night of the Prom, so we're gonna do the two and kind of put them together. Now the history portion of this that we're going to watch is going to be from the channel British Brigsby, and he's only got 1.04k subscribers, so go check him out guys on YouTube and subscribe. I actually have no idea if this video is going to be good or not, but it's really the only one that I found on this subject, so it's got pretty good comments down below and stuff, so hopefully it'll be okay. So I'm also picking up some vibes here that a lot of people think that this song is racist, you know, which is kind of like the trend now with a lot of patriotic stuff. You know, it's gotta be labeled like racist or something. The whole like cancel culture thing is a thing over here in the US. Obviously, we've had like the whole controversy over our Star Spangled Banner, our national anthem, over the past few years. So I guess the UK is dealing with this too. So anyway, I have no idea like what the controversy is about, and I don't really care honestly, because I just want to listen to the song. It's part of the British history, and that's what I'm mostly interested in, is just learning the history of it. So that's what we're gonna do right now.
Rule Britannia, Britannia rules the waves. Do you know the history of that fantastic song? Oh, not really, but do you? Why, of course. And in this video, I'm going to take you on a journey through the past, uncovering its origins as an opposition royal revolt anthem to becoming a song of national celebration. Splendid! Hello there, I'm Oliver Briggs, I'm London's youngest tour guide, and today our story begins in the year 1727, a time when King George I had passed away, and the second of the Hanoverian monarchs was about to step up to reign. King George II, at the age of 43, was to be crowned in Westminster Abbey, with Handel's wonderful Zadok the Priest being heard for the first time. But how does this tie into the song Rule Britannia, which was first performed 13 years later? Well, George's eldest son, Frederick Ludwig of Hanover, had poor relations, to say the very least, with his father. In 1714, he was made to stay behind in Hanover, studying with private tutors as George sailed to England, not being permitted to enter the country until his father's reign began. Finally being brought to Britain in 1728, he was made the Prince of Wales the following year. He bared some resentment at being the representative of the House of Hanover for so long, frequently filling in for his father's absence. This resentment wasn't helped by his mother, Queen Caroline, who manifested her hatred of him in this report. Our firstborn is the greatest ass, the greatest liar, the greatest cannibal, and the greatest beast in the world, and we heartily wish he was out of it. Perhaps then it is understandable why Frederick spent most of his life gambling, playing sports, and plotting against the king. It is this plotting that would see him make strong ties with the political opposition groups, forming himself in a Henry V-like legendary image, leading a band of brothers, the Patriots. The Patreon.
There's a lot of monarchy references happening in this that are completely lost on me, so sorry about that. I haven't really gotten into the monarchy of Britain yet and kind of learning how it all works, so like the whole like Prince of Wales and, you know, I don't understand when you're appointed Prince of Wales. But I get the general gist of what's going on here. King's son doesn't like him and apparently wants to oppose him, and his mom apparently doesn't like him either. And also there's an opposition group called the Patriots, which, you know, we kind of use that name over here as well, and I think a lot of the revolutions in Europe also had like patriots. It's a thing that all countries seem to have, apparently. You know, which is really weird because before I really started delving into world history like I am on this channel, I always thought that, like, you know, patriots was like an American thing. Boy, was I dumb. But we do have a football team called the Patriots. I don't know if there are any other teams in any other sports that call themselves the Patriots. There are, let me know where they are and what sport, because I would be interested to know that. Okay, back to the monarchs.
Groups, forming himself in a Henry V-like legendary image, leading a band of brothers, the Patriots. The Patriots were in opposition to Britain's longest-serving Prime Minister, Robert Walpole's government. Formed of both politicians and poets, they consisted of both Whigs and Tories, and believed in Britain's ability to go it alone. Ignoring disputes on the continent, building a strong navy, and gaining more colonies around the world to secure international dominance. And it is with this momentum that the song that we know of Rule Britannia is formed. Co-written by the Scottish poet and playwright James Thomson and David Mallet, and sets the music of Thomas Augustine Arne. It would go on to help foster a British identity, still a relatively new concept at the time, as the Act of Union between England and Scotland had only been signed in 1707. First performed on the 1st of August 1740 at Cliveden House, where Frederick was staying, in the masque Alfred, all about the story of King Alfred the Great. Masques were a popular form of entertainment in the 16th to 17th century England, and
Hang on, who's King Alfred again? I'm lost.
had only been signed in 1707. First performed on the 1st of August 1740 at Cliveden House, where Frederick was staying, in the masque Alfred, all about the story of King Alfred the Great. Masques were a popular form
Let
of
me know who Alfred
entertainment
is.
in the 16th to 17th century England, and this particular one pleased the prince, as that Henry V-like image was once again realised as he associated himself with King Alfred the Great, the medieval king who defeated the Danes, and linking him to improving Britain's naval dominance. Britannia
Okay, well he just explained it, never mind. But if you want to add more about Alfred down below in the comments, go ahead and do that. Okay, so King Alfred the Great was responsible for like building up the navy of Britain. I also read in Wikipedia that this song is mostly associated with the navy, but the army also uses it as well, so.
Naval dominance. Britannia itself is a name derived from the days of the late Roman Empire, and the line, "We will never be slaves," refers to an earlier work of Thomson, who wrote about the tragedy of Sophonisba in 1730, who bravely committed suicide in order to avoid being a slave to the Romans. Frederick, in 1742, successfully defeats Walpole, and just 3 years later, the song is first heard in public, becoming an instant hit. Whilst Frederick would not live to see the results, dying from a cricket ball in 1751, Britain would go on to rule the waves, as the empires of Europe.
What a weird way to die, by a cricket ball? Like your future king dies from a cricket ball. Oh my gosh.
Hit. Whilst Frederick would not live to see the results, dying from a cricket ball in 1751, Britain would go on to rule the waves, as the empires of Europe expanded rapidly and fought fiercely for conquest of land, resulting in great triumphs and terrible evils. It was during the Victorian period that there was a slight variation to the verse. The original gave a command, "Rule Britannia," Britannia, rule the waves. The vile Victorians changed this to suit the age. Rule Britannia, Britannia rules the waves. There was also a variation on the Britons never being slaves line. The original, Britons will never be slaves. The Victorians changed it to the more commonly known and admittedly easier to sing line of Britons shall never, never, never shall be slaves. And there's a bit of singing for you. Thank you very much. The song, no longer a royal rebellion anthem, became a national song, uniting Britons across the world. Played at historic events like the Japanese surrender at Singapore in 1945. And celebrated at events throughout Britain like the last night of the Proms. Recognised and rejoiced throughout the world, its playing at the Proms united thousands, with flags from all over the world being waved in celebration of the wonderful classical music. It is a staple of the event and was, until recently, sung by many fantastic singers as tradition in celebration of Britishness. I hope you enjoyed watching and learnt something new. Go and click that subscribe button for more videos all about Britain's history, and comment your thoughts down below on the whole Rule Britannia situation. See you next time. Cheerio!
Oh, he's pretty cool. I don't know like how much of that was completely accurate, but you know what? I'm going to subscribe to his channel. Alright, so that was a bit of the history behind the song. So I've got, you know, it's a kind of very brief history, so I'm sure there's more to it than that. And I hope that most of what he talked about was accurate in there. But I did read in the Wikipedia article, they mentioned that the stuff about, you know, Britons never being slaves was more in line with like the Barbary pirates taking Britons as slaves and not necessarily to do with the Romans, like he said. But I don't know what's actually true and what's not. You know, I think it's one of those things where, you know, a lot of the patriotic songs have stories behind them and there are different versions of those stories. Our own American patriotic songs have that as well, so who knows. But if you guys could elaborate further, if you want to correct anything, you know, go ahead and do that down in the comments. But we're going to now shift over to Last Night of the Proms. We're going to watch about a 6-minute video of this song being performed there. It looks like Napoleon is singing it, although that can't possibly be true. I don't know, Napoleon would not sing this song, so I have no idea who this person is supposed to be. It's not in a red coat though, it's in a blue coat. So anyway, we're going to watch this and hopefully I'll figure out who this person is supposed to be. You guys can also let me know down in the comments. I'm also going to listen carefully to the words that are being sung as well. And I'm just going to kind of take in the Last Night of the Proms. I did do another video on this. I think it was the 1812 overture that was being performed at the Last Night of the Proms, but it'll be nice to see a little bit more of it. So let's go ahead and take a look at the 2009 version of this.
Here now comes Sarah Connolly. Let's just wait for her to come on, because as we shall see, she is absolutely resplendent in a naval costume from the age of Nelson.
Oh, so it is.
Sing Thomas Arne's Rule Britannia. Sarah.
Okay, so I'm not gonna pause it too much at all during this. I just want to let it play. But I just want to say off the bat, it did look like it was a female in the thumbnail for this, so I'm glad to know that I was right about that. And also, obviously, it's not Napoleon, so I guess the naval uniforms of Britain were blue and not the army red, which I guess makes sense. It's a different branch of the service, and maybe blue makes more sense for the Navy. In the age of Nelson as well, right? So I did learn about Admiral Nelson in previous videos as well, particularly during the Battle of Trafalgar one that I did. So I've got some I can, you know, kind of know what's going on here, which is awesome. Prior to starting this YouTube channel, I would have been completely lost. I would have had no idea who Admiral Nelson was, and no idea like when he was and all of that stuff, so that's really cool. I also like, this looks like a very informal thing as well. I was expecting to be more of a formal performance, but it looks like the crowd is very involved here with all of this. And Sarah Connolly, her name is familiar. Is she like a Broadway singer maybe? Because I want to say like Phantom of the Opera maybe, but maybe I'm thinking of Sarah Brighton. I'm thinking of Sarah Brighton, I think, for that. But Sarah Connolly, what other stuff has she done? She seems to be really well known. I don't know, maybe I'm really dumb for asking that, but her name's familiar. I just don't know why I know it. Okay, so this looks like it's going to be pretty fun, in addition to just like hearing the song. So let's get back up here a little bit. Also, it has some elements of pantomime in it too, right? We have the cross-dressing with the gender, you know, so a female is playing a male role here, and we have the audience really involved as well. So this seems like a bit of an extension of pantomime, even though it's not for kids.
From the age of Nelson, this is obviously to sing Thomas Arne's Rule Britannia. Sarah is famous for singing trouser or breeches roles, that's to say playing men in opera, and her husband suggested she have this costume made for tonight. Yes, Sarah's father was also in the Fleet Air Arm. She'll said she'll be remembering him tonight in performing this traditional piece.
I love stuff like this. Oh, the director, the conductor looks familiar to me as well. These little looks that she's doing. That's what this song is! Oh my god. Oh my gosh, I've heard this, but just the instrumental version. What was that?
Thomas Arne's Rule Britannia, sung in fine style by Sarah Connolly, joined by the BBC Symphony Chorus, the BBC Symphony Orchestra, and the audience here at the Royal Albert Hall.
That looks like a fun thing to go to. That would be fun to go to. I love stuff like this that is nice classical music but also has an element of fun to it like this. And comedy. What's happening? Maybe an encore? Who's on that metal around her neck? There's the crowd in Hyde Park too. I'm just now noticing that.
Well, remarkable enough, despite the fact that Rule Britannia has been such a fixture on the last night for so long, this has been the first time it's been heard in Arne's original version rather than arrangement by someone else. Sarah Connolly adding plenty of 18th century vocal embellishments.
Wow, so I was definitely not expecting that when I started this video today. I thought it was just going to be like a serious presentation of a patriotic song. I really liked that they incorporated some comedy into it, and they didn't, like, they took it seriously but also didn't at the same time. I feel like that wouldn't happen here in the US. We would not like treat our patriotic songs like that. We're like so serious about it. And I like that Britain can also have like a lighthearted spirit about it. I just loved that whole thing. I loved everything about it. I loved Sarah Connolly's performance and her portrayal of like Admiral Nelson. If that's who she was portraying, maybe she wasn't portraying him specifically, but you know, an admiral, I guess, a naval officer. I loved all of the like looks that she did, and you know, the sword and the eyepiece. I really like the audience involvement too. You know, it's weird because we over here in the US just hear all the time from other countries, even like how patriotic we are, like how much we display our flag versus other countries where they're kind of like a little more reserved about displaying their flag and all of that stuff. So it's a bit jarring to just see this because I don't know, it's just, maybe it's just like a stupid media impression that's not accurate, but it's really cool to kind of see a country where I thought that like patriotism had kind of gone out the window a lot, maybe more in like the recent decade or two, but to see it like on full display at this was really cool to see. Like everybody was waving British or English, or I guess any country like within the UK or the Commonwealth, maybe, like all of those flags they were waving. Everybody was singing, everybody was in the spirit of the British patriotism. So for me, that's really cool to see, and it's really been interesting, like in my YouTube channel, just kind of learning more about British history and the way that the Brits view their country and the British Empire, and you know, just their country in general is different from what I had previously thought before I started watching all of these videos. I think modern Americans don't think of it in the same way that Brits do. And for me, I didn't really understand why that was, but now like going back and learning about the history of the empire and all of that stuff, like I'm starting to understand, you know, British patriotism a little bit more. And oh my gosh, I've heard that song. Obviously, it's a really famous song. I feel like they play it for like the Queen a lot. It's a very famous song. I've heard it plenty of times in the past, but I had no idea what it was. I just thought it was like the official like monarch song or something. So I'm really glad to know what the name of the song is and kind of know the history of it, the context for it. And it's also cool just to see a little bit more of the last night of the proms and see what that's like as well. Like I said, it would be a lot of fun to go and see that. If I ever make it over to the UK, maybe I can plan on catching that. I don't know, what time of year does last night of the proms happen? I feel like it's in the winter, maybe? But it would be a lot of fun to catch that along with a pantomime show for sure. So thanks to everybody who suggested this. It's been suggested for quite a few months actually, going back on my channel, so I'm glad to finally get to it. I hope that there's not too much political discussion down in the comments. Like, that's not my point of watching this. I don't really want to get into the politics of it all. I just kind of wanted to learn about the music and the history of it. So if you guys could answer any of my questions down below, I would appreciate that. And if you have anything to add, also do that down in the comments. Roger here and I thank you guys for watching. Scarlett does too. She's laying down behind me on the floor. Stay tuned for more on Music Sundays. I think we're gonna maybe get back to Sabaton next week, maybe get to the Gallipoli stuff, since I just finished watching a documentary on that. And I would like to also take a look at Johnny Horton's Bismarck song. Some of you guys requested that as well. So we're probably gonna get to those two things maybe next Sunday. So make sure you stay tuned for all of that, and we will see you next time.